if you have big power usage areas within your business, it might help you identifying wastage by metering specific components or specific subsystems of the plant. LED retrofits, obviously, fixing of compressed air leaks. These are all relatively small cost items that can have a major impact on your electricity costs. Hi, I'm Eric from Alpha Power Solutions, and today we're talking about how to lower electricity costs immediately in an industrial or commercial site. So normally what we try to do when we approach by our customers is to find the low-hanging fruit that requires minimum amounts of investment for highest possible returns or savings. So a lot of work can be done upfront, and we typically ask our customers to give us copies of their electricity bills, preferably 6 recent months, to analyze their power usage and the changes in usage, and the possibility of moving our customers to a more affordable electricity tariff. So we also ask if there's anything that has changed as far as production is concerned, in terms of additional equipment that was installed, or longer hours being worked, or more shifts being worked. So just want to get an understanding as to what has changed recently, and what our clients could look into in terms of reductions in electricity costs. We also ask if they have online metering of the power usage, and if so, then we ask access to that data. We also ask them if they've got power factor correction equipment installed, and if that equipment is still fully operational. See, when our clients are on a time of use tariff, which means that basically there's different charges or different tariffs applicable depending on the time of the day and the week where the electricity is being used. So when the clients are on a time of use tariff, they typically have 3 brackets. One is peak time, then there's standard times, and then there's off-peak times. And obviously the peak times are the most expensive ones. And we always recommend our clients that they try to move production outside peak hours, especially during the winter months. In winter months, peak hours are extremely expensive. So we also recommend that they do after-hour assessments of all the equipment that is still in operation when they shouldn't. For example, compressors, geysers, lights, air cons, etc. A lot of the energy saving sits in common sense issues. So basically what we're saying is that they're obvious, but because of the familiarity of the environment, people walk straight past it. And there are always opportunities that cost almost nothing to help and can have significant impact on the reduction in power usage. Another very handy tool is to have online metering, and when our clients have this equipment in place, it's to actually analyze the data and see what's happening on specific days and during the course of a day, to identify wastage. And it's often glaring at you, but if you're not looking for it, then you won't see it. A lot of our customers find opportunities after hours, night or weekends when they don't work, with things being left on that shouldn't have been left on. It's a very handy tool. A lot of companies, strangely enough, don't have online metering, which for me is quite strange, because if electricity is in your top 5 operating expenses, I don't understand why that cost is not managed more carefully. Most businesses will spend a lot of time managing stock levels or time and attendance of employees, and yet from an electricity point of view, often we see that no one's taking responsibility to to manage that cost and to find opportunities to reduce it. So online metering, in my opinion, is an absolute must. It's the only way really to analyze what's happening in the factory or building. And you'll find wastages, you will find peaks in power usage that you can flatten out. It's just helps you identify all those opportunities. A lot of companies we go to have massive air leaks on their compressed air systems or incorrect usage of air. There's great opportunities to reduce power usage there. Also need to make sure that lights and aircon systems are switched off when people are not in the building. You'd be amazed how many people leave their lights on, and I think it's not done deliberately. It's just that people don't think about it and move from one meeting to the next and forget to switch things off. This type of equipment can be automatically managed with sensors, and yes, they represent a relatively small investment, but they can result in long-term savings, significant long-term savings. The other opportunity in factories, for example, is to replace some of the roofing sheeting with translucent sheets that let through daylight. It's amazing how much you can save in electricity costs by just letting daylight come through the side walls and the roofs of the building. The other opportunity that doesn't cost really much is identifying whether or not you will benefit from moving to a different tariff. It's possible to run simulations of, what you would have paid had you been on another electricity tariff that is in your advantage. And there are lots of small capex items that you can implement that really can have a major impact. I mentioned before timers and sensors, but also smart plugs, servicing and repairing power factor correction equipment, sub-metering. If you have big power usage areas within your business, it might help you identifying wastage by metering specific components or specific subsystems of the plant. LED retrofits, obviously, fixing of compressed air leaks. These are all relatively small cost items that can have a major impact on your electricity costs. Even if you replace 1/3 of your sheets in a factory like we have here, it makes such a difference. And if you have side cladding, these definitely, because they get less of the sun. Those translucent IBR sheets, they take a beating from the sun, and you have to replace them. But it makes so much difference. And I think also for morale, that light is different to artificial light, and I find that it lifts spirits of having true sunlight coming into your facility rather than a whole bunch of LED lights. So the biggest one is the time of use tariffs. A lot of the municipalities have those in place, and the reason why they do this is that there are limits in the amount of power that is available in the country, and they're trying to encourage people to move their load outside specific time usage zones. There's typically 2 peaks of power usage in a day. It's typically early mornings between 6 and 9 in the morning, and then another one from 5 till 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. That's not just a South African phenomenon, that's a typical worldwide phenomenon. And so what the utility companies try to do is they try to encourage you to move your power usage to outside those peak zones or those peak periods. And there is these periods that are identified on a specific day, but also on weekends they're slightly different. And those and you need to analyze them carefully, because those zones or time zones differ in winter compared to summer months. So the most expensive time zones are obviously in winter months during peak times. Then standard times are cheaper, and then the cheapest are basically off-peak. And off-peak really is typically from 9 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning. And then on weekends, on Saturdays, typically from 12 o'clock till midnight. And on Sundays, typically the whole day is off-peak. Also interesting to note that certain municipalities don't even charge for maximum demand incurred in off-peak time zones. So we have quite a few customers that have moved their production to night shifts and weekend shifts. That has implications in terms of labor costs, and I believe that it might have an impact on the quality of your production. But there is businesses that really feel that gives them a competitive edge to do that. So in my experience, the interventions with the best cost-benefit ratio are common sense items. They often require no capital investment. For example, if you don't need it, switch it off. Or if it's leaking, fix the leak. So this is quite obvious and straightforward and really low cost. The problem is changing attitudes of employees. My personal experience with that is that there is an immediate change once the opportunity is communicated with the personnel, but with time that wanes off. It's not sustainable. It's difficult to change the attitudes of employees in a permanent way. In terms of management of lights and air conditioning systems, etc., long-term solution is actually to put sensors and timers so that it doesn't depend on the performance or the non-performance of the employees. So as mentioned before, asking employees to switch off equipment when it's not needed, and I'm not talking just about office buildings. I'm talking about equipment on the factory floor. Often equipment is left on, and it's not always necessary to keep it on. I'm not saying that everything should be switched off all the time, but there is opportunity to switch some of the equipment off during lunchtimes, tea breaks, and after hours, for sure. They could also implement an end of shift shutdown list. So basically, at the end of the shift, the person responsible of the area needs to check that he has got a checklist and make sure that everything is switched off that's on that list. People can also, stagger equipment startups. That is something we see often on, say, for example, on Monday morning, employees get to work and all the machines get started up at the same time, or more or less at the same time. Even the equipment that will only be needed in a few hours' time. What could also happen for people that don't have online metering is the daily reading of the power meter. So the kilowatt hours and the kVA for the day. It can work to some extent. It's not an ideal solution. Online metering is far more effective, but represents a small initial capital investment. So, but in the meantime, until that equipment gets installed, daily recordings of the meters data is a way of getting around it. And then, there are staff awareness campaigns showing physically showing the employees where the wastage sits and have discussions around it. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. There's a blog with more information linked in the description below. Is your business losing money on hidden electricity costs? Take our quick 3-minute assessment to find out at www.alphapowersolutions.co.za/quiz.